I am so excited.
I know, right? This feels like the first episode. Or it could have been the first episode. In
Yeah, it
spirit,
could have.
in spirit, this is definitely a foundational texts type of
For
episode.
sure. Oh, hi everyone. Welcome to the Foxx and the Mage podcast.
I'm the Fox,
And I'm the Mage.
and this is the podcast. You're listening
Yep.
to it on YouTube.
Yep. Or maybe you torrented this for some reason.
If you do that, we respect you. Torrenting a free
Yeah.
thing is just, you know what? That's a lovely game.
Exactly. Well,
And for this episode, we decided to go into some of our favorite bands during our formative years. For myself, that is Sonic Youth.
and for me, that is Swans, as you can see on my avatar.
And for this episode, we decided to go for the theme of reviewing not the most well known albums by these artists, but their most controversial or the least respected, considered by fans to be like the duds in what are otherwise pretty solid discographies.
Yeah, so for Swans, it was their 1989 album, The Burning World.
And for Sonic Youth, that was their 2000 album, NYC Ghosts and Flowers.
Yeah, these are both some interesting albums that I'm sure we have a lot to talk about. I know I have a lot to talk about the Sonic Youth one.
And certainly me with both of them. And you listen to this, and I don't know, I was listening to just other music by these artists throughout the 2 week period. I mean, like Swans just released an album very recently, so I was listening to that
Last week,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, so like
Uh,
interesting timing, and you can really tell both of these albums. They are just You can tell that they're just different enough that you can see why they rubbed some people the wrong way. But these albums are also pretty old, and we weren't psychotic stans at the time, so we're gonna try and just listen to
Yeah,
these on their own terms and see what we got.
exactly. Would you mind if I started off talking about NYC Ghosts and Flowers?
And go right ahead.
Okay, so first of all, there's a bit of a history to this album in that this album is infamous for for being one of the very first albums that Pitchfork gave a solid 0 to.
Mm-hmm.
By the one and only Brent T. Crescenzo, who you might know for writing the infamous Kid A review.
The infamous one.
Yeah,
Begin-
and the even more infamous Lateralis review, in my opinion.
the beginning of a good tradition of Pitchfork just kind of doing what they want to do.
Yeah, and even funnier is that apparently later on, like years later, Brent T. Crescenzo said that he loves the album.
I was reading about that. Yeah, it's like, well, you sure didn't seem to like it. Like, really, a zero, a zero,
Yeah,
a zero. That is such an like a lot of things so many things have to go wrong for me to consider an album like a zero. That's such an extreme
yeah.
score.
I'll be honest. I think the only albums I would ever consider giving a 0 would be like Nazi albums.
Kind of same, yeah, or just like things that are made
And
with a similar level of like
it's like,
self-importance.
yeah, stuff that I would just refuse to listen to on principle.
Yeah.
Like that, just 0 to me just means it's not worth my time. Like the lowest lowest score I'm willing to give to an album I've heard is a 1. I do have ones. I'm not gonna list any, but like I guess that's my bar.
Yeah, like when I think of like a one, I think of, well, at least, the mixing was okay, or like the drums were played decently, like basic things that like, any
Like,
project could do.
yeah, like the Vanilla Ice album had Ice Ice Baby, and that stopped it from being a 1. Just a very decent song at best.
Yeah, exactly. Like one decent thing can that's a virtue. That's a virtue, and
Yeah.
that makes it stronger than absolute zero.
For the record, I definitely don't think this is a 1 or a 2. I will say it did take me that second listen to really start getting it a bit, and I'm not even sure I really got it. It seems like an album that takes multiple listens to really absorb.
It's a
You
very
know,
artistic one.
yeah, like Sonic Youth is pretty artistic, but this is artistic in a different way.
Yeah, one bit of context I want to add for this album is that it was, if people have heard of this album, it's probably most known for a lot of the band's original equipment that they've had since the '80s got stolen from them on I think it was a '98 tour. So they kind of had to buy new equipment and start over from scratch. And I think they've said, in hindsight, that they were kind of grateful for the opportunity to really start over and challenge themselves. And with this album, I get the sense that they were reverting back to their no wave days of the '80s, when they were, like contemporaries with bands like Swans, because this feels more like a kind of an '80s no wave Sonic Youth more than the kind of '90s more polished, kind of dreamy Sonic Youth that I think people had gotten comfortable with at the time.
Yeah, realizing that does make a lot of sense. Like this does have some this does kind of have some of those no wavy textures to it, and like general abrasiveness to it, and like not like abrasiveness in that it gets harsh, more like in that it's hard to approach. Like it's not like there's hardly anything here you'd call a melody. Like there's one song, but we'll get there later. But like Sonic Youth, for as noisy as they can get, or still have hooks to them most of the time. This album doesn't really have that.
Yeah, that's another good point. There's not a lot to this album that's like hooky or radio friendly. Catchy,
Yeah,
yeah,
like not even alt radio friendly.
exactly.
Yeah, and I feel like no song encapsulates that more than the opening track, "Free City Rhymes."
Yeah, so I guess in one thing I was reading about is that both this song and Renegade Princess, the first two songs were written before the equipment got stolen, and the rest of the songs were written after.
Huh.
So I think
Okay.
I think you can tell maybe a little bit, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So this is an 8-track album. It's pretty short, by the way, which also might have rubbed some people the wrong way. It's like 41 minutes, which for a Sonic Youth album, pretty scant. At least by
Yeah.
the standards of like how like big their albums could get.
Yeah, like that, like Daydream Nation, Washing Machine, are like in the 70-minute range. I'm pretty sure Dirty is like an hour.
Yeah. Jet Set No Star. I think that one might be 60 plus or 70 minutes. So this one, like being short, I think people kind of noticed, and
Well,
yeah, maybe they were like, "Oh, that's it." But again,
well, I mean,
ahead of myself.
that would fit with the new wave thing, because like that's how albums were back then, since that was the LP times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I hated Free City Rhymes on first listen. But I think that was just because I went into this with the wrong expectations. Like because like this is very different from the Sonic Youth that I know. So but on the second listen, I grew to appreciate it more. I didn't love it, but I definitely have a better understanding of what the song's going for on second listen than I do first.
What do you mean when you say that it wasn't like kind of what you expected from Sonic Youth? I kind of felt like
Well,
this is the most quote unquote. Well, this and another song are the most quote unquote typical Sonic Youth tracks on the whole project.
I guess what I'm saying is like I'm not a fan of how the vocals are mixed on this.
Okay, honestly, yeah, the vocal mixing a little consistent of an issue
Yeah,
throughout the whole thing for me. So I know what you mean.
yeah. It's like okay. Normally, I like how Thurston Moore's vocals are. Like I had to make sure this was Thurston, by the way. And it is. I couldn't tell because they're so quiet and both like he's quiet and they're quiet in the mix. So like it kind of just made me want to go to sleep on first listen. On second listen, it's still my least favorite part of it, but the instrumental itself is good is fine enough that I don't really care too much. Like I do like the synth tones on there, which also surprised me. By the way, the fact that there are synths.
Yeah, this might be the first Sonic Youth album with synths, or at least with this many synths.
Yeah, like I haven't heard. Yeah, they had albums. I know they had albums between Washing Machine and this, because like before this, Washing Machine was like their newest album that I had heard.
Okay,
So maybe they had a synth in between.
I think between Washing Machine and was A Thousand Leaves, and I haven't heard all of A Thousand Leaves in a while, but yeah, that one's mostly guitars to my knowledge.
Yeah, I guess. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I imagine that this being the first thing that a Sonic Youth fan would have heard back in 2000, I feel like that must have been a shock.
it's definitely, yeah, especially with the kind of production, or like especially near the end when it gets into that noisy section. That like Daydream Nation was full of songs that just went really indulgent with their noise sections. You can tell that the production, it's a bit wonky, it's a bit off. There is a sense that it's weird, not because it's intentionally raw, but because again, this is like the 80s no wave days. We don't really know how to use this equipment, and that's part of the charm.
Yeah.
But I ended up liking the song a lot. But I guess because it reminded me off of something from Daydream Nation, if it slipped and hit its head.
I could see that. Like those opening tones are pretty Daydream Nation-esque. Like that like those tones are my favorite part of this song. Which, like, it might be a weird thing to say out of context, but, like, I don't know, I am very much a tonality gal, and those tones last for, like, 3 whole minutes. And this song is, like, 7 minutes, by the way.
Yeah. It's one of the longer ones. Or not, I guess they're all kind of about the same length.
Yeah. Yeah, I also wonder if Radiohead fans had a similar response to Everything in Its Right Place, like, a few months after this.
Yeah, I wonder, because, yeah, I mean, that album was also controversial at the time.
Yeah, but, like, and ironically, the same guy on Pitchfork was on the opposite end of that, way on the opposite end.
Oh, the way life takes us.
Yeah. And also, funnily enough, Everything in Its Right Place is probably my least favorite song from that album.
Ooh.
And this is might be my actually I don't actually yeah nah this is my least favorite song on this album that feels like a song. I'll say.
All right, bold take. I respect that. Let's want to move over to track 2, Renegade Princess.
Yeah. So this is another case of another ambient intro, but this time the drum groove comes in, and I love Sonic Youth's drum grooves. Like, you know, they love their Modric beats. You know that.
Yeah.
makes my brain go burr every single time I hear that specific beat. So that just drew me in.
And now that Steve Shelley he's really good at these like tight, strong, and consistent grooves. And how he plays the drums
Yeah,
that fast. And this is kind of the fastest song of the whole project. It does sound a little bit more like. So I guess this is what I mean when was saying that these two songs were written before the equipment stealing incident, because at least in my head, Renegade Princess kind of sounds like something from an aborted Daydream Nation sessions, and Renegade Princess kind of sounds like an aborted Dirty session.
I could see that. Yeah.
There's some energy to it. It's a little repetitive, but I'm pretty sure that was intentional.
Yeah, I don't mind the repetition. Like I can listen to that drum groove for like tens of minutes.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Yeah. Still not really a fan. Still not really a fan of how the vocals are mixed though.
Yeah, I
Yep.
definitely get you there.
Yeah, but like that groove is doing some heavy lifting here. So, and at that point, I could just listen to another Sonic Youth song. I could pick one at random. They do that. They have that drum groove a lot.
They really do. It's
Yeah,
so
and
cool.
they just also tend to have other more interesting things happening over it too. Like it's not a bad song. It's just I've just heard better.
Yeah,
It. I also do think the outro is a bit too long, but like I don't know. It could be worse.
yeah. This band
Yeah.
can get as long outros sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't really bother diving too deep into the lyrics because I don't know, I don't really listen to Sonic Youth for lyrics. I feel like those tend to be secondary depending on the song.
Yeah, and these lyrics in particular were kind of vague and head scratchy. Like at least with most Sonic Youth songs, like I don't know, take a song like Bull and Da Heather, which is not really about anything, but you do get a good sense of the vibe of it from the words that Kim Gordon sings and the way that she sings them. But a lot of these songs are just really, really abstract, and it's hard to kind of parse out a literal meaning out of them.
Yeah, like I mean I like abstract. Swans goes abstract a lot.
Yeah.
It's just like that. Like I wasn't complaining about lyrics. It's just that was just me saying that I'm not really gonna analyze them.
No, that's fair. I tried to, but yeah, and it looks like they're. I guess we'll talk about it when we hit to track 4. But it looks like they literally did get some like obscure poets from the 20th century and drew from them. Then
Yeah,
the next song shouts out Jean Michel Basquiat, which I think is interesting.
that makes sense. Speaking of that next song, what was it anyway?
Never mind.
Never mind. Sorry, I got those mixed up. It's never mind. What was it anyway? That's okay.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So, I Kim Gordon is my favorite vocalist in Sonic Youth, like by a long shot. So this already had bonus points for having Kim Gordon sing.
Yeah, and I think it suits her well. I think, I still issues with the vocal mixing, but I think that she has always kind of leaned into the more abrasive side of her voice. So it's not, it's. I think it fits, or at least it kind of fits better than I think some of the mixing on Thurston's tracks. Just cause he's not like Thurston isn't the abrasive vocalist.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just his vocals are very much a go with the flow type of thing.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, but also Kim Gordon is gender as fuck for me. So
She's super
that does play a part into it.
She's super gender as fuck.
Yes.
And she's right.
Yeah.
Girls do go to Mars to become rock stars.
Yes. I love that. I love that chorus, or not chorus. I love that breakdown.
Like that. Yeah, honestly, like this is one of those songs that I definitely do think is repetitive, but I think it like works better. I think the it's got a stronger groove, and I think some of these vocal lines get like they get stuck in your head better. They're more
Yeah,
memorable, even if they're also like kind of vague and nonsensical.
definitely. I de- like again, I didn't really need the outro, but like I still think I do think the album is picking up at this point.
Right, nice.
Yeah.
Want to move on to Small Flowers, Concrete?
Yes. All of a sudden, Sonic Youth turns into Slint,
Yeah, I was thirsting
and
more ASMR.
bad Slint at that.
Yeah, he really is just like right up against your ear, which is weird for a band like Sonic Youth that tends to soak themselves in effects and reverb. To just suddenly hear Thurston Moore as crisp as possible, it's really
Yeah.
unsettling.
Yeah, maybe there's a reason why Thurston's voice tends to be drowned out in guitars.
Yeah, maybe it's what he's best at.
Yeah, like there's a specific Slint song I'm thinking of, and it's Don Amon. Like Don Amon is a great song, but I don't want that from Sonic Youth.
Yeah, exactly. Sonic Youth, they're not that type of artist.
Yeah, especially this time. I guess they are capable of mixing the vocals loudly, and they did it on this song of all songs.
Yeah. In a very interesting effect, and this is one of those things where like I'm and like honestly I'm enjoying the album so far, or at least enjoying it more than I'm having issues with it. But as I'm listening to it, I'm trying to put myself into head of okay, like I'm some SY fan in 2000. I'm listening to this. I hate it more than life itself. Like what am I like actually upset about? What kind of flaws can I like look and grab onto? And yeah, I think this the mixing inconsistent. It does hit like a weird whiplash. And one thing I noticed is like at the breakdown, you know how it sounds a little bit warbly, like you know when some songs introduce fake vinyl scratches in order to make it sound more warm.
Yeah,
And this outro sounds like it was introducing fake vinyl warblings to make it sound more distorted, but it also clearly sounded like a studio effect.
yeah, I noticed that. Like I know a good Sonic Youth breakdown when I hear it, and that's not a good Sonic Youth breakdown.
Yeah, I've definitely heard my share of breakdowns myself. I was actually, I mean, I'm on the record as being a washing machine skeptic, but I actually went back and listened to the Diamond Sea. I like that song a lot more than I thought I did. And that is just like that's like 2 7-minute breakdowns in that song, and they both fly by. That
think
song does not
I
feel its
heard
length to me at all.
I heard the Diamond Sea, and I proverbially creamed myself.
Hell yeah, high five. Yeah, no, and like that song has been like and I guess I'm a recent adapter to that, but yeah, those are nice breakdowns. Those are pretty. They're lush. They're noisy when they need to be. And you know that was just a few years ago, but with this one, it does sound a bit like they're trying a little too hard to be like that noisy self again. Like I said, some of these studio effects do feel like really fake and tacked on.
Yeah, it's like, and then there's the singing itself. Somehow I prefer the spoken word to the singing.
I kind of find the singing to be pretty unmemorable. I just kind of remember the spoken word being so odd, and I guess the singing is just kind of so.
Yeah, same. Like I don't normally mind spoken word stuff either. It's just oddly executed here.
Yeah, and I did think that the instrumental got better as soon as we actually got one, so maybe that contributed to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, like it's like they were trying to do. I guess they finally hit that switch. Eventually, it's like, yeah.
Also,
I don't know.
apparently, this song is predominantly about or inspired by a poet named D.A. Levy, who spent most of his life in Cleveland. So that's not NYC. So already I have to dock
Huh.
this album points for lack of focus.
Again,
Boop.
yeah, take a sip.
Oh, I should also drink some water. And then we can move on to the next, or unless you have anything else to say.
No, that's it. I am ready to flip to the next side, going side to side.
I love Ariana Grande.
But yeah. So yeah, more Kim Gordon. Awesome.
This song definitely feels like it's about New York, to contrast.
We're going from Cleveland to New York.
Yeah, like the conceit of this song is just what it was like cars, lights, beams, nails, just like her like looking at things and identifying them, occasionally
Yeah.
interrupted by a vocal break or other instrumental shenanigans, and you know what? It's pretty good.
Yeah, I could see. Funnily enough, this actually reminds me of like later Swans, like songs like "Screenshot" or what is it? "Some Things We Do" off of "To Be Kind."
I was gonna say, yeah, it sounds very sparse, like
Yeah,
something like Screenshot, like it's kind of making the most out of its empty space.
exactly. It's like yeah, this is one of my favorite songs on the album up to this point. Still don't love it, but like I could listen to Kim Gordon read the phone book and I'd be interested.
No, I feel that, yeah,
Yeah,
and and she sells it, and this is like, I was at the point here where I'm like, yeah, this is we've heard a lot of songs that are unusual for Sonic Youth, but I do think that, yeah, as far as like kind of going back to the no wave '80s days, I think this does a pretty good job of capturing that spirit.
well, definitely. Yeah, like I could hear this playing alongside was it Diamante Galas?
Wait, which one?
Diamante Galas.
Diamante Galas.
Yeah, yeah. Like, well, I guess that's a different. That's a different kind of
I'm not good.
avant-garde title, but like she is from that scene.
Okay, God, I have someone else to look up to in that scene.
Yeah.
Because my information is limited. Um, Also, song's catchy. I'm gonna just say it.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's catchy. Sway side.
You know what's
Yep.
you know what's even catchier though? Stream X Sonic Subway.
Yeah. It is catchy.
Yeah. On the second listen, I starred this song. So yeah, first song that I have starred.
All right, so this was I would listen to. This was the only song that I would listen to when I was a teenager, and I'd first checked out the album. This is the one that I gravitated to the most, and I think it's part of that's because it's the shortest. It's the only song under 3 minutes. It might be the only song under 5 minutes.
No, there's a couple under. There's some 3 minuters.
Okay. Now I'm just like I'm being forgetful. But yeah, it is structured like a conventional noise rock song. You know, verse hook, noise breakdown, verse hook. So this was the one I would have on my old like $20 MP3 player I got from Walmart when I was a teenager.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah, this is the one that has an actual conventional melody to it.
Yeah, and kind of a sticky one at that. I
Yeah,
still
not
think
like
the song's
not even
good.
just a conventional melody, but like a Sonic Youth melody. Like that, like this, like I could probably hear this a melody like this on Dirty. Like
Yeah, I see that.
yeah,
It's good.
yeah, yeah. It's also pretty ominous though, which is what I also love about it.
That's the other thing. It is a very like yeah. By this point, I think the album can be. It's definitely a lot more dour and sinister than I think an album like A Thousand Leaves or Murray Street came right after this. But certainly, yeah, dour and kind of sinister by the standards of Sonic Youth,
Definitely,
which I think is interesting that to see them playing with these sounds.
yeah. It's like for all the criticisms I've had, I'm glad that they're doing something different. Like I'm yeah, like I like when bands change things up. Like that's just what Swans does with every album to some extent.
Basically, yes.
So yeah, so yeah, Sonic Youth doing something different in and of itself is absolutely not a complaint from me.
Neither is it. Sorry, neither is it here.
Yeah. But I just wish there was more of this song, actually. Kind of just ends.
Yeah, it does end pretty abruptly, and it does stick out as yeah one of the most upbeat songs in the whole album. Even
Yeah, it's like
I wouldn't even if I wouldn't call it like upbeat the way like a pop song is upbeat.
yeah, it's like it's like the tape ran out, like halfway through a beat.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but it does lead into easily my favorite song on the album, the title track.
I remember reading that yeah, people used to consider this one the like saving grace of the album.
Yeah,
The title track,
nev-
the only Lee Ronaldo song.
yeah, never thought that my favorite song on a Sonic Youth album would be a Lee Ronaldo one. Like I like Lee Ronaldo, but like, he tends to get overshadowed by Thurston and Kim.
Yeah, and his songs also have this idiosyncrasies to them. Where I fucked up that word, where he will get like particularly abstract, and he's not like a super melodic singer. He kind of talks a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Which I think honestly makes him a perfect fit for this album, and I think it does play to his strengths. And listening to it again, this yeah also might be my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, not only that, but like it's finally we're getting that classic ass Sonic Youth noise spiraling.
Yeah. Oh god, this album goes from zero, or sorry, this track goes from 0 to 60. That ending gets real intense.
Yeah, and it's actually mixed. It's actually mixed decently.
And I love that the lyrics, yeah, they are poetic and abstract, but they do tie into, they tie into the rest of the album, which is poetic and abstract, and it does sound very haunting. Like it feels like this is a song that should be called New York City Ghosts and Flowers.
Definitely, it's like I started this one on the first listen. The previous track took me 2 listens to get there. This one was love at first listen. But even if I'd still say literally every song on Daydream Nation clears this, it's still really good.
Yeah,
And
it's.
it's
I mean, that's just a classic album. But no, this one, I think, yeah, people gravitate toward it for a reason. I think it's, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe songs like this.
I remember correctly, I believe this was Lee Ronaldo channeling like beatnik poetry, right?
I believe, yeah, that was a big part of it. I think this was, this might have been like improvised or partially improvised, at least some of the lyrics. I think he does that sometimes, though.
Yeah, like that would fall in line with beatnik stuff. From what little I know of it.
York City. Yeah, same here. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
cotton mouthed.
I yeah. Like if nothing else, if you take nothing else away from this album, you listen to the title track. Like it really is worth it. And honestly, I would say like the entire album is building up to this.
Yeah, it is a. It's the most interesting kind of track because it is like, in a sense, the climax of the album. But yeah, I'm also like, why weren't more songs on the album sounding like this?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like what was it? Small Flowers, Crack Concrete. Like that one also tried to have had to have a climax there, but for some reason, it just the mixing just kept it down, just kept it flat. But here it was allowed to flourish, and it just felt like a new take on the classic Sonic Youth formula.
Oh God, yes, there was some real atmosphere with this one.
Yeah, definitely. And and then there's Lightning, which is more or less just kind of an outro track.
Yeah, just a simple outro with some noises that I assume were picked at random from a speak and spell.
Yeah,
Think, scratch,
it's based
saxophone, tingle.
I guess it's just fallen action.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just some
Yeah.
sonic textures. I didn't have a lot of notes about it.
Yeah. They just sound like they're having fun. Like lightning.
I do like lightning.
And
It goes boom, crack. That's nice.
yep. I'll take a sip.
So that was NYC Ghosts and Flowers, the 2000 album from Sonic Youth, widely considered to be the most controversial one, and the one that started a good tradition of pitchfork writers making you rub your temples in frustration.
Yeah. It's like definitely not a zero. Definitely wasn't a zero on first listen either.
Yeah, I definitely grew to appreciate this one more on like each subsequent listen. I'm like kind of getting something I enjoy out of it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting that too. I feel like if I gave it a third listen, I'd find more to like about it.
Same here.
Like I don't see myself ever loving this more than the other three that I've heard. Daydream Nation, Dirty, and Wash Machine. But like, this is still. But like, I'm still fascinated by this album.
Same here. It's a very interesting project by one of the most established bands in noise rock at a interesting period where they were kind of forced to retrace their steps back. I guess at that point it would have been like 18 years ago because they started in '82, I think, with those first like short ass LPs.
Yeah.
So there is something that's, yeah, like you really get like a mindset of this band that has a lot of experience, trying to redo what they did at the start, but you can't exactly replicate some of those amateurish procedures when you have all that know-how under your belt. And this also, I think this is the first album that Jim O'Rourke was on when he was briefly a member.
Oh yeah, I've heard that name. Didn't he do like a 30-minute live cover of Fast Car or something?
I think so. I think he was with in one of Glenn Branca's boys with like Ronaldo and more.
Yeah, I would totally believe that. Yeah, like 'cause, like I have heard that name, Jim O'Rourke.
No relation to Beto.
Yeah,
Or honestly, maybe there might be. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. Let's say, to tie things back to a comment I made earlier, I feel like this could be Sonic Youth's equivalent of Kid A in terms of what they're going for.
Yeah, if it had if they spent a little more time in the workshop with it, I think it could have been their Kid A easily.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it's as good as Kid A or it has as many ideas, but like I do feel like this is them just tossing everything aside that they knew before, and just going for something different, just reworking themselves from the ground up.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of potential with that idea and that concept. Some of it was realized, some of it wasn't. But overall, I
Yeah.
think I liked the album more than I had issues with it.
Well, the actual Kid A would come out a few months after this, though.
Yeah. And then nobody would listen to all the noise rock bands anymore. It was all
Yeah.
art rock from there on out. The Radiohead
Yeah.
century would truly begin.
True. Yeah. That's all I have to say about this album. You got any other thoughts on this?
Nope. I'm ready to move on to Swans if you are.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So the second project is Swans' 1989 album, The Burning World.
Yes. Yeah, The Burning World. That is another. That's also a 40-minute album, which is okay for Swans. For Swans now, that is incredibly short. But back then, they only had one double album. That was Children of God, which came out before that, right before this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say like because in my head I'm also like, oh, Swans 40 minute is a thing, but yeah, those like 2 hour long epics. That's kind of a recent development.
Yeah,
Swans was, I guess, more of a. I mean, this was like the first decade of Swans. They were still kind of doing whatever they wanted to, branching out into these different styles.
yeah. Uh, yeah. So there's a bit of history with this album.
Do tell.
So so basically, right after Children of God, Michael Gira and company were approached by a major label. If I remember correctly, it was Uni Records.
Which I think became Universal Music at some point.
And they had released an EP. It was two covers of Joy Division's "Love Will Tear Us Apart." One sung by Michael and one sung by Jobo. And
Okay.
that would basically set the tone for this album. So Swan's whole thing, that is very consistent throughout every era, is that Michael Gira will not compromise anything.
Yeah, that's the impression I got.
For this album, he's on a major label now. He has to answer to people. And, they have to answer to what's commercial. Like, what's commercial and what can he keep? What will stick to his vision? How will this sound? How will that sound? So, there's gonna be some creative differences there.
This definitely does sound like Swans, but with like some blinders on. Like it makes sense that this was the only major label release for Swans. Because of anything regarding the quality of the music, but because I do imagine that Jira is a guy who just doesn't want to have his vision dictated by anyone else, and is willing to sacrifice to preserve his artistic integrity.
Yeah, exactly. And I know he's gone on record saying that he hates the album.
Yeah, and I can imagine just psychologically if that's his mindset, that he wouldn't think kindly about this one, but I kind of liked it.
Oh, I like it too. Yeah, I think it's really good.
I like it a lot, actually.
Hell yeah.
A bit.
Love to see some Burning World appreciation.
All right, should we start with the track one?
Yes, go ahead.
The river that runs with love won't run dry.
It is already like the most unswansy title ever.
Yeah, this is such a. It's such a like a nice thing, and like I do feel bad because I think this like this is just such like a nice, pretty, luscious vibe. There's like no noise to speak of on this song. It's just pure, like kind of alt country with a bit of angelic feel to it. I don't know this song and a lot of songs on this album. Spoiler alert! They just sound very pretty, very nice, very comfortable. But I can tell where the compromised vision of original Swans comes from. I just happen to think that in this one instant, in this case, it resulted in a good product.
Oh yeah, for sure. River That Runs with Love. I don't tend to think about that song very often, but it sets the tone. It sets the tone well for the album. I do have it saved for the record.
Oh, so do I.
I have most of the album saved actually.
Hell yeah. And yeah, like I think the lyrics in particular, like I feel like the lyrics to a lot of Swans songs are They're also Disculpa. Oh, sorry. Like they're also abstract and odd to parse out, but they're usually memorable, or there are a few lines or deliveries that like really stick with you. But I kind of thought that the vocals and lyrics on this album were pretty plain. It definitely felt like it was like they sanded down something to make it more palatable to a wide audience. And I do kind of miss that having some unique lyrics or some good vocal deliveries, but I do think that it is in the service of something that, just like I listen to this song and I just feel good. It makes me feel good, and like there's not a lot of things I have to say other than that. It's just a very good feeling song.
Yeah, that is kind of partially the main reason why Michael hates this album is the compromises towards the production.
Production. I guess I can see that. It is like it's very clean sounding.
That being said, he's also not too fond of the next two albums. Those are were all on his own label, which he started after this album.
Yeah, one of those was the Rabbit one, right?
Yeah, White Light was one rabbit, and Love of Life is two rabbits.
Ah, the Rabbit years.
Like I know it got to a point where like after Swans had broken up, he had put various songs from all three of those albums and from this time onto a double disc compilation album called Various Failures.
Yeah, I was looking up the lyrics to this thing on Genius, and I saw most of these. The tracks from this album were from something called Various Failures, and I was just wondering, that's probably just he did all of his like worst songs because he's that type of guy. But no, apparently that's literally what he actually did.
Yeah, that
sick.
compilation now, for a while, the Burning World was not on Spotify like until late last year.
Oh, really?
I think that was partially because of because this album is owned by a major label, and partially because Michael hates it.
Damn. So he like hates it. Damn.
Yeah, I think the only other time this album had ever been reissued physically, if I remember correctly, was a limited edition a compilation album in 2003 called Forever Burned, which had the entirety of this album and some other songs from around that time, and you could only get it on Young God Records website back then. Yeah.
Okay, so that is like a hard get then.
It is, yeah. Like it's hard to get on. Like it is a pretty hard to get album, yeah. But I want it on vinyl someday. I
Damn,
want to
Michael.
get that. I want to get that completionist thing. Honestly, that's probably not up to Michael. I'm pretty sure he'd have to talk with Universal again about
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that they weren't exactly helpful either.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough info dumping on that. You have any more thoughts on the first track?
Nope, we can move on to track 2, Let It Come Down.
They definitely let it come down, alright. It is definitely a come down.
It's how gothic.
Oh, yeah. This is like when Swans is starting to get gothic. And that does continue for the next few albums.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like, or on this note, I put that Jira is kind of. He sounds like he's trying to do like a Tom Waits Dark Cabaret type of thing. I just wrote that he sounds like a cartoon villain in a made-for-TV movie based off a board game. But just a little bit.
That description describes him on a lot of songs, and he sounds very different in all of the songs where that can describe him.
I guess there are many different types of cartoon villains.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking of a Beautiful Child off of Children of God, where he's like, I can kill the child, the beautiful child.
Yeah. I've definitely... I haven't heard the whole album, but I've heard that song, and I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm betrayed and Nicole. Yeah, I guess... and again, I'm looking at the lyrics for this one. Some men are made of steel and blood. Some fall from heaven when their time does come. Some of us we went from shapeless form. Some men hide from a howling storm. Now I wander through the flames. I will drown in burning rain. It's poetic, but it doesn't really like get you. And I feel like for me, because of that, it does make me focus more on the music, which is very, very pretty.
Yeah, definitely. Not one of my favorites from the album. It is just kind of there.
Yeah,
it serves its purpose.
It is track 2 out of 10. It fills 4 minutes on the 44-minute album.
Definitely,
And
it's like
goth.
It's just funny to say. It is still funny to say that about Swans now.
Yeah. Oh, the trajectory this band would go down.
Yeah, honestly, it would have been funny back then if someone got into Swan through this, and like, this sounds cool. I wonder what else they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just play them. Public castration is a good idea.
This entire album, I guess, it kind of feels like Michael Gira just made one so that his grandparents could listen to it. I mean, I know that's not what happened, but like in my head, that's a more wholesome vision of this, because I do, Swans, they've dabbled in these sounds a lot. It's not like like they're not new to alt country or kind of being gothic or like weird freak folky. No, not freak folk, but kind of pseudo folk, I guess. And I guess this is just kind of like that, but without any of the noisiness or the no wave influence.
Yeah, it's like they would come back to like traces of this on later albums. Like there were some songs on The Beggar that reminded me of The Burning World.
Yeah, I get that from when I'm thinking of tracks on The Beggar. And Leaving Meaning, I'm also picturing in my head as I guess that was like the most recent like kind of goth country thing that they were working on.
And I never really thought of it as that. I just think of it as just general experimental rock. It's like a cool down after the trilogy albums.
Yeah, I guess
One
so.
that just yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to go off on too many tangents. I could talk about the Swans all day.
Yeah, and let's talk about Swans all day on track number 3. Can't find my way home,
Ah, yes, the Blind Faith cover.
which I had not heard about Blind Faith because I'm not into 70s classic rock supergroups.
Uh, that was just some group that Eric Clapton was in.
I think it was Eric Clapton, and I think the one of the original drummer for Velvet Underground, like
I
Ginger
don't
something.
remember. I don't remember. Pretty sure Steve Winwood was in it though.
Yeah, it
Pretty
was.
sure he was the singer.
Yeah, Winwood, Clapton, that Ginger something, and then I forgot
Ginger
who.
Baker.
Ginger Baker, yes. Because I was just like looking at, I was like, it's a nice song, and they're like, oh, it's a cover, Blind Faith. Never heard of them. But I
All I
think
know,
this one sounds good. It sounds like if the movie Sinners had a baptism scene.
I have heard the original Blind Faith version. I do prefer the Swans version. Like I'm not just saying that to throw shade at Eric Clapton because he's an easy target, but like, no, I do genuinely prefer the Swans version.
Yeah, I should go listen to the original, but I will say, like, I do like this version a lot. I think it sounds lovely. I think the vocals are good. It does sound very like angelic and choirful. Like I guess it's weird because this is like a goth album, but it does sound also a bit like yeah, like a kind of like a baptism scene in a movie set in the 1930s. It's like the energy I get.
It doesn't sound that weird to me in that regard. I like that's kind of just that's just kind of how what I associate goth music from this time with. Like this is the same year we got The Cure's Disintegration.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
it is just very slow and pretty and thought out.
Mm-hmm. And how?
Yeah, yeah, and this is a very pretty cover. Jarbo is a very versatile vocalist, but on this album, she really only shows off that side of her voice.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And she does sound, and I forget what I was listening to. Oh yeah, I was listening to some random songs off of Soundtracks for the Blind, where I was just like, this is an amazing voice. That she has.
Yeah, honestly, I crawled off of Swans Are Dead. Basically, shows the full range and versatility of her voice in one 10-minute package.
Yeah, that's so true. Sorry, drinking more water because I'm a water drinker.
I'll do that now.
Mm. So, all right. Shout out covering songs from easy targets to make them less easy targets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, Eric Clapton doesn't sing on there on the original.
Yeah.
He's just the guitarist. So like, Eric Clapton as a musician is like Eric Clapton as a singer. He's at his best when he shuts the fuck up. He's like as a person. I mean, he is as a musician as he's as a person.
Yeah. British.
Oh yeah.
A terminal case of the biggest mental illness of them all, being born and raised in the United Kingdom.
True.
All right. Track 4, Mona Lisa, Mother Earth, which I liked, because I think that the lyrics with the like Mona Lisa metaphor of, oh, I'll go hang out with Mona Lisa, you know, because she's like cool and she's also Earth. I thought that was like kind of the closest we got to, at least at this point, to kind of conventional Swans lyricism, to the extent that that even exists.
Yeah, like I could hear that being on White Light.
I also love these kind of tribal drums mixed in
Oh,
with the weird countryisms. It kind of sounds like a campfire or human sacrifice.
it's funny to say that about this album of all Swans albums, given how given how their drums tend to sound.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me look up the who all played on this album real quick because their lineup tends to change.
So
I just wanted to see one thing.
all right, I got drums Virgil Moorfield, who is
Okay,
a Swiss guy, or no, he's based in Switzerland, but he's from North
okay,
Carolina. Gross.
true. Yeah, so I don't know who Virgil Moorfield is, so I can't say anything about that. But I just wanted to make sure whether or not Norman Westberg was on this album, and yeah, he was.
Mm.
Yeah, he's like very consistent guitarist throughout their discography. There's like a few albums he's not on. That's it. Like I think it's White Light and The Beggar. Oh no, it's Love of Life and The Beggar.
Mm.
Right.
Oh shit! Robert Mapplethorpe did the cover art.
Yep.
That's pretty
Yes.
cool. Working with
Like you
Mapplethorpe.
might. Yeah, you like. I think I'm pretty sure he took that cover. I'm pretty sure that cover was unrelated to this album. Like he just that's just what they used for it.
How that happens. That's the same with the album cover to Daydream Nation. That was just some random
Yeah.
painting that they liked.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny how much lineage this band, how these two bands have together, both intentionally and unintentionally.
It's a small world.
Yeah, given that, like in the early days of Swans, Thurston Moore was a part of the band. Never recorded anything with them though.
Oh, what a world!
But Michael did write a song on their first album.
Which I remember. Yeah, we were talking about that, and I forgot,
Yeah.
or the Confusion is Sex album or whatever.
Yeah, he
What
wrote
it
"The
was.
World Looks Red," and then Michael later reworked that into "The World Looks Red" / "The World Looks Black," which he put on "The Glowing Man."
I need to listen to that because I've been like going through SY's Discog front to back, and I'd listened to Confusion is Sex before you told me that fact, and then I went to look back, and yeah, The World Looks Red is the only song I starred from Confusion is Sex. So maybe I knew, or I could like appreciate his songwriting, even though I didn't know he was the one who wrote it.
It's funny how that works.
Yes, it happens.
Yeah.
Man's talented.
Yeah.
All right, want to move on to "She's a Universal Emptiness," track number 5.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, I don't know how. Well, again, because like this is a studio, or like a big studio project instead of like Jira's uninterrupted vision. It's hard for me to tell. I don't know. This song sounds like it could be personal. Might be about his mom. I'm not sure. Be nice if it is, but either way, it is very. It tells like a compelling story and narrative.
Yeah.
I think.
I think so too. Yeah. It was definitely one of my favorites from this album.
Universal Emptiness. Holy. Yeah, and I guess instrumentally it does kind of. It doesn't do that much that we haven't heard already, so I didn't have too many notes on that either.
Yeah. It's just simply good. Is all.
All right, that's all the notes I have on there. Want to move on to Saved?
Yes, the single from this album, and which the only Swan song to ever chart anywhere on the U.S.
So that's why it So that's why the song has its own Wikipedia article.
Yeah, like I think it made like number 30 on the alternative charts in '89.
Oh, very nice. Look at them.
Yeah, like there were like when I checked the Billboard site at the time to verify this, and yeah, there it was for 1 week. It was at like number 30 out of 30 spots.
See what Swans gave up by leaving their major label studio deal.
Also, one of their few songs to have a music video, I believe.
So that one I did see, like on Wikipedia, and like I don't know, like I can't ever tell if it was fan made or real, but like yeah, Swans doesn't have a lot of videos.
Yeah,
I certainly can't think of any.
Like I think it's this, Level Tear Us Apart, and New Mind off of Children of God. I think those are their only songs with music videos.
So I guess this band really is about all the sonics, though. I would think that a guy as artistic as Jira would be more willing to play with the visual arts, but I guess not.
That's kind of reflected in their album covers for the most part. Like for the most part, their album covers are very minimalist, and honestly, their music is too.
Yeah, like Swan's album covers, they're so idiosyncratic. They're so they're always like the simplest things in the world. I feel like I mix them up sometimes.
I mean,
because a lot of them are just circles.
Yeah, the newest one is just a circle. Like Soundtracks for the Blind is also a circle with some letterboxes.
The Great Annihilator is two circles stuck together.
True.
Also known as an infinity symbol.
Yes.
But still, there's two of them.
And there's the Deter Isu EP, and then which is also a circle and letterboxes, and Swans Are Dead, a circle and letterboxes. Yeah, that's just kind of what that's just kind of what they do. They're just I think they just let the music speak for itself.
Yeah, it's that's their MO. It's worked for them.
Yeah, I think that works for them on stage too, because like they don't really do anything crazy they don't really have like a special stage appearance. They just hit you with the music.
I almost saw Swans live because they were playing on my birthday, but in 2021. And I had bought a ticket assuming that the pandemic would be over by January 2021, but it wasn't. And the show got canceled.
Sucks.
And I don't know if I ever got my $30 back because I bought those tickets like 10 months in advance.
That sucks.
Maybe one day.
I did see Swans last year.
Ooh.
With a friend. It was like at the start of their tour for the Beggar.
Nice.
It was the start of their U.S. tour. It wasn't even the start of that. It was the start of a tour. And after this, I remember Michael had when they were playing the Hanging Man, people were moshing, and Michael got up off of his chair, told them to stop, and then while the band was still playing, and then got back in his chair, playing like it was nothing.
Interesting. Okay. I see.
He's been very clear that he doesn't allow moshing at his shows.
Interesting. Huh. I guess that's. I guess I wonder if he's doing that from like this is high-minded music point of view, or if he's like one of those people who thinks that like any type of moshing is dangerous and should be avoided. Like
he just said I remember he humiliated them after that song. He's like, I can't think of an appropriate band to that with, but do that there. Like I think it's just a safety thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of people from those old scenes, like that, like moshing was a lot more aggressive in the '80s, from what I can tell. It's so much more wholesome these days. So I totally get being one of those people who are like, this is dangerous. Somebody's gonna get hurt. You don't do crazy things. Just be calm, be normal. Especially if you came up in that scene. I'm not gonna call him a Puritan or anything. He knows a lot more than I do.
Yeah. Also, there was this. He also called himself Barbie at one point.
Nice.
I also shook his hand after the show when he was at the booth.
Aw.
And like he also
Nice.
put on his signature cowboy hat just at the booth.
Mm.
Yeah, I shook his hand. He smiled at me, called me polite. That made me want to squeak.
Aw. That's so sweet. Oh,
It
cowboy
is.
hat, man. Being polite is such a nice compliment.
It is. Signed my first-hand copy of his book, The Knot.
Ooh, you came prepared.
Yeah, it has his journals, short stories, and lyrics over the past 40 years.
Oh, nice. So that's very comprehensive.
Yeah. Actually, I should have brought it with me so I could just read the lyrics along with you as we were doing this.
Oh. Well, maybe next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Hint, hint. Want to move on to I Remember Who You Are?
Yeah, go ahead.
I Remember Who You Are.
My least favorite.
Yeah, it is a bit of so many of these tracks do just kind of blend into each other because they're all of similar length and of similar style. I feel like I should say that I enjoyed just about every song on this album at least a little bit, but some of these are just unmemorable because you're listening to like pretty similar sounds for 44 minutes.
I just realized I don't think you even talked about saves. We just talked about stuff surrounding it, and then went into a tangent about the concert.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about saved?
I love that the chorus and the background vocals effect in it, and I just wish it didn't end so suddenly.
Okay.
That's kind of it. Other than that, I
just-
guess kind of the same things I had to say for the other songs. But no, I honestly, I totally didn't realize that.
That's the beauty of the podcast. I just wanted to cover that real quick before I forgot.
No, no, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, I personally think Saved is one of the better songs on the album. I think it's I love Jarbo's angelic backing on that. Even though that is like the part I remember the most.
Oh yeah, it's incorporated very nicely.
Yeah. As for I Remember You, I don't really remember the song.
I kind of remember the lyrics being like it's one of those songs that's like those Swan songs that's like about a young girl's pain and struggle, but it is also vague, like shut in behind a young girl's face, helpless in your bed of thorns. I remember who you are, a young girl unchained. Like it's not very specific. Like I feel like if this was another Swans album, we would get a better sense of this kind of girl or what specific problems she has. But this one's kind of all vibes.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I don't have anything to say.
All right. Well, then the next song, which I am trying to get on Genius, Jane Mary, Cry One Tear. That one I did think was a little bit more of a pick me up. I thought I remember I wrote down the lyrics for Vibrant, so I'm trying to look up the lyrics so I can remember what they are. But the problem is everything on Genius like insists on putting these tracks on the Forever Burned or the Various Failures projects, not the Burning thing. Probably because this album was hard to get on streaming.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should have just remembered I should have just thought to bring that book with me for this.
Okay, yeah. All right. I live in an empty house. There's no one there but memory and me. I loved a woman once, 100 years ago for a while. When she left here, she was filled with hatred and a second child. Now I heard nothing ever changes, but nothing I touch has stayed the same. Everything turns in poison that I have loved and made. Like, so already this is like, oh, dang. Up in the stakes. This is more goth with the lyrics, a little bit less vague.
Yeah. Yeah, Michael's songwriting is definitely is like his pure songwriting is starting to peak its way in now.
And that the kind of musical shifts that this one goes in, I think, are pretty. Like when the song's almost over at the 3 minute mark, and it does change tempo a bit. I really like how that like kind of puts me on my toes. But then I kind of wish it happened a little bit earlier in the song, also.
Yeah, like this were on White Light, it would have had some more time to flesh itself out.
Yes, I think you're exactly right.
You're gonna be, yeah. I've been bringing up White Light a lot because White Light is one of my favorite Swans albums, and I feel like it kind of expands upon the ideas on this album and does everything better.
All right, then I need to make that something I check out.
I like it's an easy top 3 for me, maybe even top 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What would top 1 be?
Currently it's To Be Kind, but like, I don't know. I'm just gonna say this. I am doing a massive project where I review every single Swans album. That's gonna be a YouTube video someday. So I guess
yeah.
I guess we'll find out what if that still holds true after I go through all that.
Stay tuned, audience.
Yeah, I don't know when I'll get it finished, but I will say I do have everything up to 1986 reviewed.
Okay, all right, nice.
Yeah.
Well, keep working. You got this.
Thanks.
Uh,
Also, why I'm being a bit sparse here, but like that being said, it's not like I'm really spoiling anything about what few words I say about this album because it won't. This is not going to be the same as me writing a script and truly analyzing it.
yeah, like this is such a different format, and also like this is a bizarre album even by the standards of Swan's discography. So
Yeah, it's bizarre in that it's not bizarre.
exactly, it sounds like something like I could literally like play this for my grandmother, and she would be like, "Oh, that's very nice. This guy seems very sweet." And that's like part of why I'm enjoying it so much is because it's so kind of warm in a lot of spots that I don't expect from Swans.
Yeah, like it has its place in the Swans canon.
You want to move on to the penultimate track, See No More.
Yes, I do.
This is the longest song on the album at a blisteringly long 5 minutes and 30 seconds. I think it's one of the better tracks, honestly, kind of because it plays with its length and like that original like the song for the first minute sounds kind of vaguely Egyptian, and then it moves into a more conventional rhythm, and then it goes into another hook, and then it moves into that same rhythm, but more. It's like it actually feels like it's building and progressing linearly. And by the time the song ended, I had just fully like thrown my hands up and like submitted myself to the song, and yeah, it really charmed me over. And when those banjos come in, and I looked it up, I think it's some like kind of different instrument, but I'm just going to call it a banjo because I'm from Texas. But those banjo strings were like gorgeous when they were coming in. They really felt earned.
Yeah, this is probably the swansiest of the songs on the album.
Yeah,
in terms of
that's exactly what I was
uh,
thinking.
yeah, like it's like that's Swansea goodness of just hypnotizing you is peeking its way through on this song, I feel. So Swansea's in terms of musicality at least.
Yeah, I really love that or that start stop rhythm that goes on. I love when the that second half when there are those faint choir backgrounds. It sounds massive, like
Yeah,
way more massive than anything else on this album.
definitely. It's like it's, yeah, and it's funny because like at this point you don't really okay. So nowadays we think of Swans as a band with massive soundscapes, but like that's not how they were in the '80s.
Right.
Like this is kind of where they're starting to come into that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, this would be one of their first. I mean, like I wouldn't call this post rock, but it's
Definitely
definite.
not.
But it's definitely taken from that, or it takes more from that school of thought than anything else on the album. I think just
Honestly,
having that extra minute did wonders for them.
there is a song on Children of God that kind of sets the seed for their post rock stuff. It's kind of more primitive compared to that, but Blind Love, the longest song on that album, does kind of like set a foundation for that. Where it's like they're where it's with the build up, where this with build up, release, and tension.
Any relation to Blind Faith?
Nope.
Good.
But
But
but they have played that live like in their reunion stuff before. So so it's clear that they've caught on that they're aware of this. That yeah.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, that's all I have on See No More.
Nice. Nice.
Um, now.
Uh, now we are at the one song from this album that both fans and Michael himself tend to still like from this album.
Yeah, goddamn the sun.
Yes,
Which again,
fucking love the song.
I live in Texas, so I am also saying this very often.
True.
Yeah, holy damn, this song really just like hit me and made me emotional. Of course, it did. Yeah, damn. It's a very
Yeah, Michael.
touching tribute.
Michael has played this live, like on solo tours, like within the past year or so, I believe. So yeah, he still hangs on to this song.
Well, well, that's good that he's still. Sorry, that's good that he doesn't like dismiss everything from this era.
Yeah, like it's mainly just the production he doesn't like, but like also, it makes sense that this would be the song that he keeps from this album.
Oh yeah, it's this one I didn't have to question if it was personal or not. Unlike Universal Emptiness. Now that this one felt very very real.
Yeah, it's just very just bitter and somber.
Bitter, somber, full of grief, and just full of yeah. Like I don't know, I've felt my share of grief. So there's definitely an energy to hear. Like when he's selling goddamn the sun because the sun just keeps moving and moving and ignoring his plight. Like that's very real. It's a real thing
Yeah,
he's grabbing from, and it feels like it.
like I think I think the only song of theirs that like moves me to tears harder would be a song on White Light again called "Failure," if that tells you anything.
Sounds heavy, or it doesn't sound
Yeah,
cheerful.
no, it does not. It is just 10 straight verses of bemoaning over failure.
Damn,
No
uh,
chorus either.
10 verses. Damn, my man has Man's got some grief.
Yeah.
Carries some pain with him.
Definitely. And it's like, and he's definitely carrying on goddamn the son as well. Like, he's just bearing a soul in this one.
Yeah, and I think, I think it's a great way to end the album is with, by far the most emotionally resonant, the most personal, and the most hard-hitting song.
Yeah.
It's a very good way to close the whole thing out.
For sure.
And yeah, I don't know. Like with this one, I feel like I can't like praise it too much. Just you kind of have to listen to it, hear the pain in his voice. These lyrics where he's like lamenting the lost things of this friend of his.
Yeah.
Things that he misses, things that he wishes was still around. It's very powerful.
Definitely.
And that concludes The Burning World by Swans.
Yeah, like, overall, it is definitely an oddity in their discography, but it's still important.
Oh, certainly, I can like hear a lot of where the band was in the '80s and a little bit of where they would be going in the '90s and beyond.
Yeah, like that. Like I would say that. Okay, so I do kind of think of Children of God. I am going to consider that a part of their gothic period, but I feel like that's kind of a transition between their no wave stuff and their goth stuff. This is them, shedding the no wave stuff entirely.
Mm. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, so like and then just generally taking on more conventional forms of songwriting. It's just doing actual verses and choruses and actually rhyming things.
Yeah, it did. It felt. It did feel like an experience seeing this band try and fit into something. More radio friendly and conventional, and now we know what happens if Swans goes on a major label. They make an album like this, and then they don't make a second one.
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure they got dropped from the label if I remember correctly. Either that or Michael quit. And either way, after this, Michael formed his own label, Young God Records, which is still running to this day.
Nice. Shout out that young god, the upstart god.
True. And so and they released everything on that label from White Light onwards.
Okay. So yeah, sounds like they did pretty good for themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds like they did pretty good for themselves. We're sitting here in 2025 like, yeah, I think they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
I think this Michael guy's got a good head in his cranium.
Yeah, this 71-year-old guy is going places.
He's on the up and up. This guy might be influential one day.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what's that? Oh, they already have the new album out. Came out last week. I wonder if we're gonna get some more pleasant country tunes.
I wonder. We're gonna get more songs that sound like baptisms.
Yeah. I mean, they sound like baptisms, all right.
There's only certain types of baptisms.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for my CD copy to come. I actually pre-ordered this the CD copy of Birthing.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get that shit in the car.
Yeah, I don't have a car, but like I am. I do
find someone else's car and put it in their CD player.
They will have CD players.
They will thank you later.
True, but I really like that the these first editions are coming of the CDs and vinyls are also coming with a DVD containing a documentary of the tour and also video footage of them playing Rope slash the Beggar.
Ooh, very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. That's going to be a religious experience for sure.
Gotta love when our favorite bands release content. They
Definitely.
really spoil us with all the content.
Yes.
Wash over me.
Yeah. Well, I think these two albums are. It's just funny how opposite these two albums are of each other, but also very opposite of their respective bands' discographies.
Yeah, it definitely does sound like, at least, like Sonic Youth and Swans are both very diverse artists with like very different styles. But if you ask someone to be like, okay, what's like the stereotypical XY style? Swans did, or no, yeah, Swans released the more Sonic Youthy album in that it was like kind of commercial. And then Sonic Youth released the more Swans album in that it was noisy and chaotic. Which
Yeah.
again is not like it fits into the stereotypes of their discographies more than them in reality, but I did think that was a fun little coincidence.
Yeah, it is. And it definitely made for interesting compare and contrast points between the two.
I agree.
Oh. Have you got any final thoughts on either of these albums?
Um, I'd say in my gut I would maybe NYC Ghosts and Flowers is a 6 out of 10, and The Burning World is an 8 out of 10. If I had to say it, I ended up liking The Burning World a lot more, but I'm sure I'll uh, appreciate more of NYC Ghosts and Flowers the more that those tracks kind of sit with me. But I do still think that the problems that people might have had with them both, like I can definitely see them, and they're both like projects that are limited and compromised. But a lot of albums are. There's gems. They're all
Yeah.
the same. Do you have any final
I think
thoughts?
I think I'm with you there on those number ratings. That's about where I'm at. Like that second listen definitely for NYC Ghosts and Flowers definitely pushed the album up to a 6 for me. Especially those two songs that I have starred. They definitely make the album worth it for me. Finding those two.
Those are good ones.
Yeah, and the Burning World is one that I just had. I don't tend to think about often. Like I say, it's an 8 out of 10, but this is Swans. I have very high standards for Swans.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and an average Swans album is going to be different just because you've listened to many different Swans, or even just all
Yeah,
the same. Yeah, it's with these discographies, you have to. It's impossible not to compare.
yeah, and it's like I am glad this album exists. Like it is still important to to their growth, and they have revisited some of these ideas, not just on like the Beggar, but like you could say on Angels of Light. Michael's band while Swans was broken up.
And it's an
I
important
guess
piece of history.
actually probably be more accurate to compare Angels of Light to White Light. But yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, this entire Swan section has just been me saying this is cool, but White Light is better.
Well, then maybe we got to do White Light one of these days.
Oh, I would love to talk about White Light for hours.
Fair enough. Well, well, audience, let us know if that's something you want to listen to. Lord knows I have
Yes.
albums I can talk about for hours.
Yes. It's like as good as great as To Be Kind is. Everyone knows To Be Kind. I want to hear more people talk about White Light.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Gotta stick up for
Oh,
White Light.
definitely. With that out of the way, I think it's time to announce the next theme.
Yes, for the next episode, episode 6, we are getting proud
Hell
Proud
yeah.
Family. We're doing. I tried to think of a clever thing. I fucked it up. It's next episode is Pride Month themed, so we'll be picking two of our favorite queer albums to share, just queer albums to share.
They're pretty sure they're both queer thematically. I know the one I picked is.
And certainly the one I picked is. I will be bringing to the table "Peaceful as Hell" by Black Dresses.
And I will be bringing the Sime Interdisciplinary Music Ensemble by Sime.
All right, and we will bring you with those in 2 weeks. Be there,
right.
Be queer, be used to it.
My name is Mageclick.
My name is Foxx Navarro.
And happy Pride Month, y'all.
Happy fucking Pride Month.